St. Patty's Day 2022, and you know what that means. Some corned beef and some cabbage. So today we're gonna take this corned beef and we're gonna slow cook it on the smoker outside. And then we're gonna do something special here with this cabbage and make it excellent. And about halfway through, we're gonna get these veggies out there on the smoker as well. So stay tuned, this is gonna be a great corned beef recipe you're gonna wanna use for St. Patrick's Day. With corned beef being salty by nature, I wanted to get some of that salt flavor out. So what I did is I threw my corned beef in some water and threw it in the fridge overnight. It's gonna help a little bit. They recommend, 6 days, but who's gonna leave corned beef in their fridge for 6 days when you got a family and everything? So we were in there for, about 12 to 14 hours overnight. All right, so what we wanna do is we wanna get some of this fat cap off of this so we have a nice lean piece of meat that smokes through evenly. So we got the corned beef all trimmed up, ready to go. Most of that fat cap is off and it's looking nice and clean. So now what we're gonna do is we're just gonna get our seasonings on. This year what I'm gonna go ahead and use that package that always comes with your corned beef. It just has that extra little flavor in there. And then we're also gonna add a little bit of more caraway seed, some thyme leaves, some rosemary leaves, and some black pepper. All right, now that we got our corned beef all seasoned and ready to go, you know what time it is. It's time to come and smoke with me. Out here at the smoker, we got this bad boy set to 225 because the name of the game with corned beef is low and slow. So this is gonna be anywhere from a 4, 5, maybe even a 6-hour cook. So of course, what we do first is we get our good old trusted meter probe and we get this kind of into the middle. So as you can see here, if you come a little bit closer, this isn't gonna reach the middle. So what we wanna do is we kind of wanna come in from the top here, make sure that we get it into the middle here. There we go, so we're near the middle and that's gonna give us a good read on the temperature. Now with corned beef, it's actually done at 145, but the collagen doesn't start breaking down to about 160. So our target temperature for this is to allow that collagen to break down quite a bit, and we want to get it up to about 190, 195. So again, let's get this on the smoker. We're set at 225, and now we're just gonna let it smoke. Now that we have the corned beef out on the smoker cooking up, next thing we want to do is we want to get the cabbage ready. So the first thing I did is I cut a wedge out, so that way we have a place to pack some flavor into the cabbage. And it's just a few ingredients here that we're going to be using. The first thing I want to use is some butter. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut ourselves about 2 or 3 tablespoons of butter here. And we're just going to jam that on in there. Just like so. And once we got the butter in, next thing we want to do is just add a little bit of our kosher salt and pepper onto the top here. So this is all just gonna go in the smoker as well, and it's gonna smoke all of this butter, black pepper, and the Worcester sauce. It's about a tablespoon or 2. And then what you want to do is you want to jam your top back on here the best you can. And then what we're going to do is we're going to wrap it in some tin foil here. And we want to leave the top open because we want to get some of that smoke flavor in. Just like so. So what's going to happen with this, that butter is going to melt, the salt and pepper are going to go with the juices and flow down through the cabbage, and it's going to come out very, very flavorful. So there's only one thing left to do with this, and that is take it out to the smoker so you can come and smoke with me. Corned beef has been on for about 2 hours now, and the internal temperature is right around 130. So at this point, what I want to do is I want to get my veggies on. So if you take a look here, we have our potatoes, our carrots, and our onions. And then we just threw some of the same seasoning on it that we did on the corned beef. So the next step is to get this into the smoker. Along with the corned beef, we're going to go ahead and take a quick little peek at that. It looks like we're getting some nice color. Everything's coming along just fine there. So what we want to do is we want to basically finish this corned beef off by boiling it here in the water, letting it simmer in the water with the potatoes and what have you. So we're just going to throw it in there, and then we're going to throw some tin foil over the top of it to help keep that heat in. And let this bad boy warm up. And we also got the cabbage that we want to get thrown on with this as well. So with the cabbage, again, we got it basically wrapped up in tin foil with the top open. This is going to allow the smoke to get in there and everything to melt really nicely and accumulate at the bottom. So we just throw that on next to it. And we're going to let this go for probably another hour and a half, 2 hours. And then we'll check on it then. All right. 4 hours later, our corned beef is done smoking. So just to recap here, the first thing we did was we seasoned up the corned beef and we threw it directly on the smoker at 225. Let that smoke flavor build up into the corned beef. And then about 2 hours into the smoke, we took the corned beef and we threw it in the water with the veggies that we have cooking. And we also got our cabbage set. And then that smoked for another 2 hours. So a 4 hour total smoke time. And now it's time to see how everything turned out. So let's start with the cabbage. All right, so again, with this cabbage, all we did is we cut a little wedge out here. We threw some butter in there, some salt and pepper, and the Worcester sauce. And then we threw it on the smoker for a couple of hours. It is smelling super delicious. And just look at that butter in there. That's just, I love butter. So let's give this a quick slice here and see how she turned out. Nice and soft on the cut, so look at that. Look how juicy just that is alone. Let's give her a nice little cut here. And then just slice us off a little piece. And let's see how she turned out. For cabbage, butter, salt and pepper, W sauce, not too shabby. All right, now what I want to do is we want to take a look at this corned beef and the veggies here. Let's see how they turned out. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is just get these veggies out of the water here. Give them a little bit of a... So we got our veggies out of the pan and they look and smell absolutely delicious. So I'm gonna go ahead and give a tater a try and see how it turned out. Soft. You could taste the rosemary in there. You could taste all the flavoring that we have in there. So definitely not bland, and it's got a really good flavor, especially for a corned beef roast. So now on to the main dish, the corned beef. So let's get this meter probe out. And then let's give this a slice down the middle. Let's see how the inside looks here. Look at that. Still juicy, nice and juicy. Let's give her a cut and give her a try. See how it turned out. I'm not the biggest corned beef fan, but this looks absolutely delicious. You can still taste the saltiness in it, just because that's corned beef and that's how it is. But you taste the smoke in it. You can kind of see if you look closely here. You can see we got a nice little smoke ring going. So that adds a little bit of flavor to it. A little bit of spiciness too. It gives a little kick to the tongue. But out of all the corned beef that I've made, I would definitely say if you haven't smoked a corned beef, you need to give it a shot.